Good afternoon, dear students. So, welcome back to poetry. We have just started yesterday. We are halfway through, finished almost half of it. Just to recall what we are doing yesterday, Sarojini Naidu is imagining that Mother India is speaking, addressing her children who have been out to fight war for the British. So we have begun saying that Mother India is asking the Westerners, what is it that I withheld without giving you? I have given you everything. Then she names some of them like raiment, grain, and gold. Then she speaks about how she had thrown her children to the east and to the west. And then there is a description of how their dead bodies are scattered in the Egyptian sands and other places where they fought the war. Then we are coming to the last part of it, where saying that they were thrown like flowers in the meadow, and that has been destroyed by chance. Similarly, the dead bodies of soldiers were gathered, and meadows are supposed to be green in color, but they have turned into brownish because of the blood that was being poured out by the soldiers, the martyrs. So that's where we stopped. So we will start the last part once again. We'll see. Gathered like pearls in their alien graves, silent they sleep by the Persian waves, scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. They lie with pale brows and brave, broken hands. They are strewn like blossoms mown down by chance on the blood-brown meadows of Flanders and France. That's where we stopped. I already told you, Flanders is in Belgium, and France and Belgium are neighboring countries. So the British forces were fighting against their enemies both in France and Flanders, and the Indian soldiers were serving the British. We'll begin the next part. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the watch I keep, or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair, and the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer, and the far sad glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory? Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep? Can you measure? Can A means you, Y-O-U. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep? Grief of the tears. Grief. Grief of the tears. Grief of the tears is sorrowful tears. Grief is sorrow. Grief of the tears means sorrowful tears. Or compass. Compass is to comprehend. The meaning of compass is to comprehend, to understand, to grasp. Or compass the woe of the watch I keep. What is woe? What is woe? Woe is again sadness, sadness, pain or sadness. The woe of the watch I keep. can put it. You can put it as painful. Painful watch. Painful watch. So I'm trying to put it in a term that you can easily understand. The first one is grief of the tears is sorrowful tears, and the woe of the watch I keep is painful watch. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the watch I keep? You know that every mother grieves for her child. Especially if you know the families where the people have sons have joined the military service, any wing of the military, you will find the mothers will be waiting with tears for the return of their sons. Because they are not sure if they'll come back. And especially during the times of war. Suppose we have now at present we are in a danger zone. Anytime there could be a war between India and China. So people, the soldiers who are posted near Chinese border, the parents of those soldiers will be always in grief. They will be having sleepless nights. When will the war break out? Anytime the Chinese army can just attack, even without declaring a war. We have already seen. So, they will be spending their nights weeping in sorrow. So, the same feeling Mother India has got. Mother India has got so many sons, thousands and millions of sons. And what an amount of grief she must be having. Can you measure that grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the watch I keep? Watch is waiting for the return of the sun. So the sorrowful tears and painful watch of the mother is beyond measurable. You cannot measure the sorrowful tears, and you cannot understand the amount of pain with which they are. Mother India is watching for the return of her children. Or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair, and the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer. The pride that thrills through my heart's despair. See, here they'll be using two different terms, opposite in meaning. This is a figure of speech called oxymoron. Oxymoron. So, there is something new for you. Two different ideas, contrasting ideas are put together. The pride that thrills through my heart's despair. What is despair? Despair is utter lack of hope, complete hopelessness. There is no hope at all. That is despair. How can pride and despair go together? That's it. That is oxymoron. So, or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair. There is no hope at all. It's a hopeless situation. Even that time there is a pride in me. What is pride? Pride has a very negative meaning. Also there is a positive meaning. Negative meaning is somebody who is very proud, means who boasts himself, or who has overconfidence in himself. So that is a pride, proud. Here the pride is different. Here the meaning of pride is a satisfaction derived from an achievement. Satisfaction derived from an achievement. Mother India is proud. She is feeling proud of her children. Why? Because they have achieved something. The great achievements they have made, that makes her proud. That pride thrills through her heart. At the same time, her heart is filled with despair. That is utter lack of hope. Hopelessness. Hopelessness. Or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair and the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer. What is anguish? Anguish is pain. Anguish of prayer means pain of the heart while praying. When we are faced with serious situations, serious life situations, what do? We pray. We pray with a certain amount of sorrow in the heart. We pray earnestly so that our prayers will be heard. So there is despair, there is anguish. So there is sorrow in my prayer and the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer. So even then it is hopeless and it is sorrowful, there is a hope. There is a hope that everything will be okay. So again, two different things are put together, hope and anguish. One is positive, one is negative. Oxymoron. And the far sad glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory. This is a futuristic hope. Futuristic hope means the hope of the future that is to come. And the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer and the far sad glorious vision I see. Far sad vision. Far means that is yet to come. It's on the way. The far sad glorious vision I see. Why it is sad and glorious? Again oxymoron. Sad and glorious. Sad is something sorrowful, painful. Glorious is something positive, something to be praised. So, and the far sad glorious vision I see. Why it is sad and why it is glorious? The far side glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory. Torn red banners. What do I see? I see the torn red banners of victory. You know what is a banner? Banner is something written, a piece of cloth, or these days it's not a cloth, something else is used, where we have a inscription, something is written. So, torn red banners of victory. The banner is seen, the banner is torn, and it is red in color. What does it say? So, when it is torn, means because of extensive use and because of the opposition faced, the banner is torn because of the hurdles, difficulties they had to face and because the attack they had to face. That means victory is not that easy, not easily achieved. It has to be hard-earned victory. Hard, H-A-R-D, hard-earned victory. That's what it means. Why torn red banners? Why red banners? Because the victory or glory will be achieved only through bloodshed, only through war. Only war can bring peace. Now the war is on. Now the fight is going on. At the end of the fight, aftermath of the war will be peace. So I am able to see what is going to come. What is going to come is torn red banners of victory. Therefore, it is sad and glorious. Now you understand. Why it is sad? Because the banners will be torn. It's a tough time. And the banners will be red. Bloodshed will take place. Therefore, it is sad. Why it is glorious? It is glorious because what is going to come is victory. So far we were slaves to the British. Now we are going to be free men and women. Therefore, it is glorious. See, beautiful. Each line is full of meaning. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the watch I keep, or the pride that thrills through my heart's despair, and the hope that comforts the anguish of prayer? And the far sad glorious vision I see of the torn red banners of victory. I think it's clear. We'll go to next part. When the terror and the tumult of hate shall cease, and life be refashioned on the anvils of peace, and your love shall offer memorial thanks to the comrades who fought on the dauntless ranks, and you honor the deeds of the dauntless one. Remember the blood of my martyred sons. Fantastic. When the terror and the tumult means T-U-M-U-L-T, tumult. Tumult is a loud, confused noise. Loud, confused noise. Loud noise, which is confusing. It's called tumult. For example, the time of earthquake or a volcanic eruption, there will be tumults. When the terror and the tumult of hate shall cease, and life be refashioned on anvils of peace. Here are certain words you have to understand, without which you will not follow the lesson. Refashioned, you know. Fashion means to make. Refashion means remake, redesign. So when the terror and tumult of hate shall cease means stop. Now there is terror and tumult. There is a frightening sound. There is terror. Why? The war is on. The war is on. Here she is not speaking just about the war that her sons are fighting in foreign countries. It is the forthcoming war that India will be fighting against the British to free herself from the foreign powers. So now is the time of terror and great frightening sound. That will cease, that will stop. When will that stop? When India gets freedom. When the foreign powers will be ousted from India. And life be refashioned on anvils of peace. What is an anvil? Anvil is a heavy iron block. Suppose you say this is a So this is a heavy iron block. So you have a furnace. You have a furnace, F-U-R-N-A-C-E. Furnace, R is silent. Therefore you pronounce as furnace. You must have studied in physics. Furnace. So there's a furnace in a blacksmith shop, blacksmith place. Blacksmith is the one who works on the iron. So the blacksmith's place, he uses a furnace which can be wherein he can heat the iron. You heat the iron in the furnace, and with the help of a tongue, you take it out and keep it on the anvil. This is the anvil, the iron block. You keep it on this and take a hammer and beat it in order to redesign, in order to change the shape. Whatever shape you want, you can make it. The iron is being heated. You want to make a crowbar, you can make it. You want to make an axe, you can make axe out of it. You want to make something else, you can make it. So it is in the hands of the blacksmith. He designs and redesigns. Before it is being kept in the furnace, it has one shape. Now he refashions it as he likes. So that is a refashioning on the anvil. So when the terror and tumult of hate shall cease, and life be refashioned on anvils of peace. Here it is not the anvils of iron, it is anvils of peace. So far it is terror, frightening sound, bloodshed. There is no peace. Now once the freedom is achieved, the foreign powers are sent out of India, then we will become free. That time, life will be redesigned on the anvils of peace. Beautiful. Great poem. And life be refashioned on anvils of peace, and your love shall offer memorial thanks. And your love shall offer memorial thanks to the comrades who fought on the dauntless ranks, and you honor the deeds of the dauntless ones. Remember the blood of my martyred sons. What is dauntless? Dauntless is fearless. Dauntless is fearless. Or you can say very brave or fearless. So when once you achieve freedom and you start to redesign your life on the anvil of peace, what happens? Your love shall offer memorial thanks to the comrades who fought on the dauntless ranks. It's very becoming of us. Very becoming of us means very natural. Once we achieve this victory, we will be thanking all the people who worked for peace and freedom. And that time you cannot but remember the comrades. Comrades means fellow soldiers. It can also mean member of the armed force. So member of the armed force, any of the armed force. On the land, on the air, or the water. All the three wings of the armed forces. We will be remembering them for the great sacrifices they made. Many soldiers who laid down their life for India. Many people who were rendered handicapped, lost their limbs, lost their sight, disfigured figures. All these people have to be remembered and thanked. And your love shall offer memorial thanks to the comrades who fought on the dauntless ranks. It's a metaphor. Dauntless means brave or fearless. Dauntless ranks. So she called it, the ranks are the military ranks. So ranks are fearless. People are fearless, we understand. But the ranks are fearless. It is personification. Personification also is there. Both combination. Personification. As if the ranks are having life. People have life and the ranks also have life. To the comrades who fought on the dauntless ranks, and you honor the deeds of the dauntless ones. Dauntless ones means brave ones. Remember the blood of my martyred sons. So when you do that, When you offer memorial to the people who made it possible, the freedom and peace, that time don't forget the martyr sons of mine who went and fought on the foreign lands in Persia, that is in Egypt, in France, and in Flanders. Because they have sacrificed, though they are fighting for the British, they are the brave soldiers who made the process of peace possible. So that is the end of the poem. So you read it a few times so that you will understand it easily. There are so many words having very deep meanings, and some of them are hidden meanings, so you need to pay attention. We shall look at some of the literary points. Please take your workbook of a poem. Page number 64 in your workbook, page number 64. Theme: patriotism. Patriotism is a theme. Sarojini Naidu's poetry is known for bringing out the depth of her patriotism for her country, that is India. It is believed that she wished to serve her nation with her songs. Sarojini Naidu's The Gift of India brings out her fervent patriotism. You can read it up. You can read it up afterwards. So how patriotism becomes the main theme of the poem. The poem is believed to have been written to attract the attention of the world to the brave soldiers of India who sacrificed their lives in different wars fought by the British during the First World War. So though we had no benefits as such by fighting wars abroad, once we agreed to fight and our soldiers were taken, they fought bravely. The poem evokes a sense of pride as well as grief at the loss of a number of Indian soldiers. Pride and grief, oxymoron. Pride and grief, two different terms are put together. So Indians were proud and they were sad, who laid down their lives in the First World War. In this poem, Sarojini Naidu has personified Mother India. So another figure of speech used is personification. We'll be coming to that. Personified Mother India. What is the meaning of personify? You ascribe the qualities of someone to somebody else. Normally to lifeless things. That is personification. Lifeless things are imagined as having life, or things are imagined as having the qualities of a human being. That is personification. So Mother India is actually, what is Mother India? Mother India is a term, or it's an idea, and it is we have filled it with life, as if it is having life and the qualities of human being. Whose heart bleeds for her sons. Mother India's heart bleeds for her sons who have been torn away from her bosom ruthlessly and deployed in foreign lands to serve British interests. The Indian soldiers displayed their strength and courage on different battlefields, fighting for the Allied forces in the First World War. They died unknown and unlamented and were gathered like pearls in their alien graves. That phrase is very important. You try to get it by heart. Gathered like pearls in their alien graves. When you write essay, you can quote it. It's very good. Sarojini Naidu has portrayed a heart-rending picture of the dead soldiers in the battlefield. They have been depicted as lying motionless with severed limbs. Severed means cut or injured. Injured or cut away. That is people who lost hands, legs and other body parts. Resembling the shells that had been deserted by the living creatures within them. Their motionless and disheveled bodies on the blood-stained battlefield have been compared with the withered beauty of flowers scattered in a sun-parched meadow. She believed that prayer was the only source of hope and solace for the anguished hearts that were filled with overwhelming sorrow at the loss of Indian soldiers in war. See that shells, the implication of shells or representation is very important. They have been depicted as lying motionless with severed limbs, resembling the shells that had been deserted by the living creatures within them. So the shells, what are shells on the seashore? They are the outer covers of the living beings. The living beings either after their death or they leave that shell and get away, go away from there. So shells have no life. Similarly, these people are just lying down like the shells, motionless, lifeless. So that is how it is personified. As a true patriot who wanted to see her country free from the shackles of the British rule, shackle means clutches. Sarojini Naidu visualized that good sense would prevail in the world and hatred would not take a toll of human lives. The only tribute that could be paid to those dead soldiers is not to forget the sacrifice they made for the cause of freedom. Thus, the poem The Gift of India is emotionally surcharged with the sentiments of the poet towards the martyrs and the valiant sacrifice made by the sons of the Indian soil. So that's the main theme. So theme is important. In your essays, you'll have to incorporate this one. Without touching upon the theme, you cannot write a good essay. So theme is patriotism. Next we'll go to style. There are a few areas to cover. Then there is a critical remark. So we'll have a short look at both. Style, form and structure. So this is a style, form and structure. The Gift of India is a 24 lines poem without any stanza divisions. So what is the form and the structure of the poem? Normally we have poems divided into stanzas. Stanzas of four lines, 2 lines, 4 lines, sometimes even 6 lines or 8 lines. So we have stanzas. Here there is nothing like that. The Gift of India is a 24 lines poem without any stanza divisions. No division at all. Each line rhymes with its next line. Each line rhymes with the next line. Is there aught you need that my hands withhold? Rich gifts of raiment or gain of gold. Withhold gold. West breast. Lo, I have flung to the east and west priceless treasures torn from my breast. So withhold. Hold rhymes with gold. West rhymes with breast. Rhymes with doom. So that is one line rhyming with the other. So the rhyme scheme comes to be A, B, B, C, C. A, B, B, C, C. Some of the rhyming words are withhold, gold, west, breast, cease, peace, once, sons, etc. The poem personifies the country India as a mother, I already said. The poem personifies the country India as a mother. So, this is important point. You know already personification is lifeless things are imagined as having life. Here, Mother India is personified. Poem personifies the country India as a mother. Therefore, all the qualities of a mother are ascribed to India, Mother India. All the qualities of a mother are ascribed or given to Mother India. That's why she is able to wait. The quality of a mother waiting for her sons to return. The sorrow she feels, the great pain that she undergoes, the pride is within her that her sons are fighting for the country. All these qualities are ascribed to Mother India. The poem personifies the country India as a mother who sorrowfully yet proudly laments the loss of her sons for the British cause in the First World War. The words and phrases such as priceless treasures torn from my breast. Priceless treasures torn from my breast. Torn means forcibly taken away. Priceless treasures torn from my breast. Sons of my stricken womb, the womb that was pained because of carrying the sons and giving birth. And martyred sons, the sons who lay down their life for a cause, clearly establish the mother-son relationship. Now we'll go to poetic devices. Poetic devices. First one was theme. This is form and structure. This is poetic devices. The poem runs on a number of poetic devices used effectively. So what are the devices used? Personification, similes, metaphors, alliteration, oxymoron, rhetorical question, imagery, visual imagery, auditory imagery, color imagery. So most of the things you know it. What is personification? You know already. Similes you know. What is a simile? Metaphors you know. Alliteration also you know. Only oxymoron and rhetorical question may be something new. Imagery already you know because you have seen in dolphins. Imagery is used. We have also seen in Salvatore and also many more in Fritz imageries. In that there are visual imageries, auditory images and color images. So let's have a look at it. Personification, a figure of speech in which abstract ideas are invested with personality and both inanimate and abstract ideas are endowed with the attributes of living beings. I already said lifeless things are imagined as having life and the qualities of a person who has got life are ascribed to the lifeless thing. That is the personification. Suppose he asks, "Oh death, where is your seat? Oh death, where is your seat?" Death has no life. Death is already dead and gone. But we are imagining as if it is having life. So personification. The poem runs on a series of personified images where country India is endowed with the attributes and feelings of a mother. The Mother India speaks in first person and laments the loss of her martyred sons. For example, India as a mother calls the Indian soldiers as priceless treasures torn from her breast. Other examples of personification are, is there what you need that my hands withhold? It's very starting of the poem. Is there what you need that my hands withhold? Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the watch I keep? What we learned today. Remember the blood of my martyred sons. But when you remember, when you give thanksgiving, remember the blood of my martyred sons. All these are personification. Next we have similes. What is a simile? Comparing one thing to another. Comparing one thing with another. Comparing. It's a comparison. It's a comparison. A figure of speech in which a likeness between two different things is stated in an explicit way using the as or like. So you are comparing one thing with another thing or things. Another thing or things. Suppose you say King Ashoka fought like a lion. King Ashoka fought like a lion. How did he fight? He fought like a lion. It is simile. But when we come to metaphor, it will be different. I'll explain it later. Gathered like pearls in their graves, scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. They are strewn like blossoms mown down by chance. All these are similes. Metaphors. A figure of speech in which a comparison between two different things is implied but not clearly stated. I will try to explain it. What is the difference between simile and metaphor? They are very close by. Simile is a comparison. You are like comparing one thing to other. As I said, Ashoka fought like a lion. In metaphor, it will be Ashoka was a lion in the war. Ashoka fought like a lion in the war. So it's a comparison. Ashoka was a lion in the war. That means all the qualities a lion has, Ashoka possessed while he fought. That's what it means. So here there is no comparison. All that the qualities you're supposed to have is being ascribed to the other. No comparison. You are saying that is this and this is that. There is no difference. Ashoka is lion, lion is Ashoka. Both have the same qualities. The Indian soldiers are compared to priceless treasures torn from my breast. Priceless treasures torn from my breast. They are not like treasures. They are treasures themselves. Priceless treasures torn from my breast. Then you have the third one, alliteration. Fourth one. Personification over, simile over, metaphor over. Next one is alliteration. Alliteration is to do with the sound, rhyming. It is the close repetition of consonant sounds, usually at the beginning of vowels. Beginning of vowels, the consonant rhymes. That's it. Example, silent sleep by the Persian waves. The silent in silent S is rhyming with S in sleep. So, silent sleep by the Persian waves. Scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. So, the S sound of scattered shells and sands are rhyming with each other. They lie with pale brows and brave broken hands. So, the ib sound in brows, brave and broken all rhyme with each other. So that is alliteration. We are quite familiar with alliteration. Now this may be something new, oxymoron. It is a figure of speech in which apparently contradictory terms appear in conjunction. For example, and the far sad glorious vision I see. It's a figure of speech in which apparently contradictory terms appear in conjunction. In conjunction means one after the other. One contradicting idea comes after another. There are two terms used. One is positive, another one is negative. I just give you an example. One is very positive, one is negative. They don't go together, but we are putting them together to create an effect. Example, and far sad glorious vision I see. Sad, glorious vision. Sad is negative, glorious is positive. You are combining them in conjunction, one after another, they are placed. Sad, glorious. I'll give you a few more examples. Faith unfaithful kept him falsely true. Faith unfaithful kept him falsely true. Falsely true. Falsely true. True and false you have. There are two contrasting ideas. We are putting them together. Falsely true. Faith, unfaithful. Faithfulness is one thing. Unfaithfulness is just opposite of that. Faithful, unfaithful. Faith, unfaithful kept him falsely true. Example. Another one is deafening silence. Deafening silence. Deafening silence. Wow. Who is a deaf person? Deafening. Deafening is here is the frightening. Deafening. Frightening. Silence. Silence is supposed to be silent, quietness. Silence means quietness. There is nothing to frighten. But deafening silence, a silence that frightens. The silence is so much. For example, is the silence that the soldiers experience at night of the war. The war is about to begin. The silence that grips them on the previous night is a deafening silence. It is silent, a silence that frightens them. Deafening silence. That is oxymoron. I hope you understood. Okay. Next is rhetorical question. What is rhetorical? You know, rhetorical question is a question asked in order to create a dramatic effect on or to make a point rather than to get an answer. See, with rhetorical is something to do with speech. Speech. A good speaker, he will throw a number of questions. So, for example, the famous speech of Mark Antony. He speaks about Brutus. Brutus was a brave man. Wasn't he brave? If Mark Antony asked, wasn't he brave? He is not expecting an answer. It's rhetoric. Was he brave? Wasn't he brave? No answer is expected. We are supposed to understand from it. You see, it is ridiculing. It is ridiculing that democracy is no more practiced in India. Is India democratic? If I ask, I am not expecting an answer. I am only just throwing some question to make you aware of it. So that is rhetoric. Can you measure the grief of the tears I weep, or compass the woe of the watch I keep? That's rhetoric. Next we'll go to another one, imagery. The poetic devices are over. Poetic devices you start, personification, similes, metaphors, alliteration, oxymoron, and rhetorical questions. That is over. Next one is imagery. You know what is imageries? Sarojini Naidu's poetry is known for its use of images that stand for a whole range of experience and vision. So imageries will help you to understand things better. It will help you to understand what is going to come, the future that is coming. Poetic imagery is the artistic and effective use of language to help the reader get something of the feel and vision of the poet, artist at work. And this is what Naidu excelled at. The Gift of India is filled with such imagery, and use of similes and metaphors play pivotal role in creating of images in her poetry. Pivotal means important, very important. Visual imagery. So there are visual imageries, auditory images, and color imageries. Visual imagery, the image of the dead Indian soldiers gathered like pearls in their alien graves is highly visual and pathetic. So imagery is very, very visual, gathered like pearls in their alien graves. You collect the precious pearls, but it's highly imagery because what you are collecting is dead bodies. The brave soldiers who are martyred. That is how they become precious stones. I imagine. Scattered like shells on Egyptian sands. Just like the shells, the living beings shed their shells and move away or they die. And what is remain is lifeless thing, that is a dead body. The soldiers have laid out their lives, what is remain is their dead bodies. Imagine, they lie with pale brows and brave broken hands. Their brows are pale, they are colorless, they have become yellowish, and their hands are broken. They are strewn like blossoms mowed down by chance. So, flowers that have been destroyed by chance, like that, the soldiers have been destroyed and killed on the blood-brown meadows of Flanders and France. Again, when you speak of a meadow, a green meadow, you cannot forget a meadow, sight of a meadow. And if you are able to sit on the meadow, the green grass, it's a beautiful sight and it cools and soothes your mind and body. Such a meadow is still become brownish in color because of the blood that have been shed by the soldiers. Very good imagery. You can never forget. So these are the visual imageries. You can see them. Visual imageries are imageries that you are able to see with your mind, with your insight. Auditory imageries. These are imageries that you are able to hear. The soldiers moving to the call of the drum beats of the duty. Drum beats of the duty. The drum is beaten and you hear it. Auditory image. Color imagery. The poem also abounds in color imagery. The richness of material resources of India, snatched by British, is symbolized by gold, which is not only a metal but a color symbolizing tradition. Also, the pearl-like Indian soldiers are dead. Their brows have now turned pale, pale brows. The beautiful colored flowers have now withered away, and the meadows of Flanders or France have turned blood brown. The green meadows have turned blood brown. Moreover, the red banners of victory symbolize the victory gained at the cost of Indian blood. Torn red banners, torn red banners, symbolizing hardship and blood. The color imagery of red is also prominent in the last line when Mother India asks to remember the blood of her martyred sons. So blood is red in color. Color imagery. Then we have the last item, critical remarks. This you can read it. The title, The Gift of India is apt as the poem focuses on the priceless lives of Indian sons given as gifts of allied forces. There you can read through it. In that there is a background of the poem is given in Mother India, anti-war poem. So for 11th class, anti-war theme is one of the main themes they will be using. And your poetry is also 11th and 12th. Many of the poems are based on the theme anti-war. Anti-war poems, we have plenty. You'll be studying soon one more anti-war poem. So I hope you have understood. And towards the end, you have understanding the poem. A few guidelines are given there. Analyze the gift of India as a patriotic poem filled with deep love for motherland. Answer also is given there. Loss of material resources, loss of sons, longing for freedom, call to honor her martyred sons. Then there are long answer questions are there. Discuss how is the poem, The Gift of India. Both a lament and pride for Mother India. What is lament? Lamentation is weeping. Weeping. Sorrow and pride. How it becomes a point of sorrow or a sadness and pride. Then you have to write some answers here. 1, 2, 3. 3 questions are there. At the end, I have long answer questions. So you can read through it, answer the questions in the workbook, read it up, refresh yourselves, get ready for it.